In the World Tour tab, there is a random button right above the World Tour button that once hovered over just says coming soon. What does this mean? It has been weeks and we still haven't heard anything new about Emerald, the elusive rank that only existed in rumors, or even World Tour as a whole for the rest of the season. Now I want to go through what we do know about Emerald and an upcoming new game mode that is all but confirmed for later down the season. As we all know, turning Terminal Attack into V ranked mode for Season 3 left a sour taste in most of the community's mouths. During the backlash, Embark developers went on record telling us that while cash out is gone for the season, it still is the main game mode for the game and the focus of the development team. They also said that we would see tweaks and improvements to the cash out game mode for the duration of the season, with some of the changes being tested live throughout World Tour. And while we haven't seen any noticeable changes other than a new map rotation for this week's World Tour, I still think that we're gonna start seeing some huger changes very soon. And that's not just through World Tour, but that's because we still haven't heard about the many things that have been teased leading up to Season 3, as well as changes to World Tour as a whole. One of my favorite teases being about an elusive green rank. Many players understandably think that Emerald will be released sometime in Season 3, and many speculate that it could be a reward for the top 500 players within World Tour. But I think that Embark may have another plan, so let me talk you through it. Leading up to the season, Oscar from Embark was talking a lot about Emerald and the upcoming season in the game's official Discord and on the official finals streams, and he said something along the lines of Emerald and also something more competitive coming later in the season. He also said that it probably wasn't ready for the release of Season 3 just yet, but there's still more to it than some words from the game's community lead. The first thing that we'll get to see later in the season is of course a whole new game mode, which goes by the name of the Finals. Yeah, you can already see that there is a button to queue up for the Finals whenever you want to queue up for World Tour. However, if you hover your mouse over it, all you see is a Finals logo as well as the text coming soon. The previous comments by Oscar hinting of something more competitive coming later in the season for the competitive grinders, all the hints about Emeralds, which also would come later in the season, and the final sign that only tells us that it is coming soon. It just lines up too damn well. The first time I heard these comments before Season 3, I assumed that there would be an extension to what we saw in Twitch Rivals with more competitive tournaments and maybe money tournaments or a competitive circuit down the line, but I may have been jumping the gun a little bit, seeing as my current theory seems to fit a lot better. With all of the breadcrumbs that we have seen so far, if I can put on the hopium goggles for a little while, I'm starting to see a pattern, and I may go for a shot in the dark here, but we might even see what we can expect sometime later down the season, maybe even coming soon. Obviously, I hope that we'll see more change with the upcoming World Tour rotations, maybe some new loadouts or new rules, but I'm thinking that the more competitive experience that has been teased will in fact not have that much to do with World Tour itself. It will instead somehow all revolve around this new game mode that they haven't released yet, the Finals. Now, we all know how the Finals works as a format by now. At the end of a tournament, two teams will duke it out in a team versus team 3-on-3 format with a best of 3 or first to 2 cash outs to decide the winner. So it makes sense that a game mode going by the name of the Finals will focus on this aspect of the game. As I've said before, time and time and again, for months now, I truly believe that the final round of a tournament, that being a team versus team environment without the risk of third partying or any other type of bullshit, is the peak competitive experience that still stays true to the game. Sure, Terminal Attack is a team versus team game mode, so it is more competitive than cash out, but at the end of the day, it promotes a whole different playstyle and meta than what the Finals is known for and built for, and as such means it never really will be a good fit for the rest of the game. And while we will see some loadout changes and various tests throughout the World Tour, I truly believe that the real test for whatever changes we will see for Ranked in Season 4 will be done in the new playlist, you know, the Finals. I don't think that it will look exactly like it works right now once it comes out. Mind you, I mean, as with Terminal Attack, I think it's safe to assume that a more competitive version of a casual mode, which has a team versus team environment in focus, will be longer. I mean, I think Terminal Attack went from best of 7 to best of, I think, 13. So it's safe to assume that the Finals could be longer. Instead of being a best of 3, it could be with the first team to 20,000 wins. Maybe we'll see a best of 5, maybe even a best of 7. And that's because a best of 5 can be settled in a little over 5 minutes if it's a full wipe, which in my opinion at the very least feels way too short for a ranked game mode, but who knows, maybe people are yearning for shorter games. I do want to mention that while there is a chance that Embark does raise the length of the individual games from a best of 3 to best of 5 or even more, seeing as the finals tab is right next to the World Tour cash out tournaments, there is a good chance that the finals also could be in some type of tournament format as well. Maybe Embark decides to keep the best of 3 format, but instead of making it a single team versus team, we will still see some type of bracket. Obviously, all of the rounds in the bracket will be the same team versus team final experience, but as you go up the bracket, the difficulty would obviously increase until you finally have the most competitive round of the finals that you'd ever see. Assuming that we are aiming for a major rework of the game's own competitive system, it makes a lot of sense that this would be the something more competitive that we are bound to see later in this season. It also makes sense that it would tie into the whole Emerald rank, which would be the opposite of what Ruby is to Terminal Attack, and this would also reinforce why we haven't heard anything about Emerald, short of some hints, despite us being quite a bit into the new season. I mean, if the Emerald rank had anything to do with the World Tour itself, then we would have heard of it already. That being said, as I continue my grind for the #1 spot in World Tour, it becomes glaringly obvious that the final rounds in most cases are not fun to play whatsoever. So hopefully whatever changes to have in mind can help fix that. I think a team versus team format can be fun, but unless it is properly balanced with good matchmaking, it won't be enjoyable for anyone. Not for the stacks that are rolling the lobbies with the easy wins, and definitely not for the low-level Andes getting absolutely destroyed. But this might be where the current ranked system comes into play. With the ranked Terminal Attack game mode, Embark has been testing a performance-based, more visible and responsive ranked system specifically for a team versus team environment. And while we have seen some very unbalanced games in Terminal Attack, which I kind of have to chalk up to the game mode being pretty dead, I do think that if you use this very ranked system in a finals-based game mode, while separating stacks from solo queuing players, you will see some very balanced and probably pretty enjoyable games across the board. That being said, at any level it also has quite a bit of downtime, which can be enough to set up and recover for a new fight, but I can see how casuals might be less excited to spend time waiting for something to happen in the final round, but I'm just speculating here. I'm not a casual, I wouldn't know. Either way, the finals game mode is just one of the things that Embark is trying this season, and who knows, I mean, Oscar even teased that maybe they'll just have Power Shift as one of the stops in the World Tour, so who knows, maybe they are trying more concepts to see what actually sticks. If it doesn't perform well, they'll probably try something else. I mean, if they're going as far as putting Terminal Attack as the ranked game mode, then it's safe to assume that they're willing to give everything a shot at this point. Personally, I think that a game mode like the finals might be the most competitive option out there, but whether it is acknowledged and enjoyed by the community remains to be seen. And I haven't really decided what I think about this, so I am very curious to hear what you guys think about it in the comments. So I hope to hear your thoughts on the direction of where the game is down below. But that is it for me, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out. Bye-bye.